Conversely, when it's a time of national celebration, it's the president who expresses our exuberance. Who calls up the victor in the Super Bowl? It's the president who makes the ceremonial phone call. So the president is also head of state. President is also the leader of his party. The president, by virtue of being the elected official who brings his party into power, is considered a potent fundraising force. The president is responsible for raising money on behalf of all the candidates of that party. The president represents the party's agenda in Congress, the list of initiatives, the party platform on which these candidates run. The president is the one who submits those on behalf of the party. The president, once in office, will appoint or reward the party faithful with positions in government. So the president is party leader. A fifth function, and this one's closely related to the diplomatic function, is explicitly rooted in the Constitution, and that's the role of commander-in-chief. And let me just read the section from Article 2. It states, "The President shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy and of the militia of several states." Now, presidents have varied to the degree to which they've been willing to wear this hat. Certain presidents have been quite hands-on military strategists. During the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln spent nights poring through military manuals so he could orchestrate the campaign on behalf of the North. Lyndon Johnson, during the Vietnam War, literally picked out air targets the night before our Air Force went over on bombing raids. So this commander-in-chief task has been taken literally by many presidents. Finally, we expect presidents to be chief executive officers of the executive branch. We expect them to lead their organization, much as the Viking leaders led their expeditions to the New World. Presidents don't go to new worlds, of course, but nevertheless, they do make the appointments to their organization. In fact, that's one of the most important powers of a chief executive, whether you're appointing a landing party or whether you're appointing executives to the upper branch of government. Notice that since 1960, the role of presidential appointees has increased. As we see, the number of appointees made by presidents today is almost 2,500. So one of the tasks associated with being chief executive officer is to make appointments to the executive branch. But there's more to it than that. Presidents are charged by the Constitution to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. So they have to implement laws and see that they are fulfilled or implemented in a way that fulfills congressional obligations. So part of this take care clause provides a means for being chief executive officer. So leadership entails carrying out many different functions represented by these hats. But it's important to keep in mind that these hats are not worn only by presidents. They're also worn by other actors in our government, particularly Congress. So let's run through these quickly one more time. Remember I talked about the president's role as chief agenda setter? Well, it's true the president will submit a legislative program to Congress, but ultimately it's up to Congress to see whether that agenda reaches fruition. So Congress, too, plays a role in the legislative process. How about president as chief diplomat? Sure, negotiates treaties, but it's the Senate that has to confirm them. Sure, the president will appoint ambassadors. The Senate has to confirm them. So this hat is shared with the Senate. Now, the ceremonial role, for most part, largely because it is ceremonial, is worn, the hat is worn primarily by the president. It's not shared with other actors, but again, it doesn't have a real substantive importance. Party leader? Well, the opposition party in Congress also has their own leaders, the minority party or the majority party, be that as it may. So the president's party duties are offset by the party leaders of the other party. Even the commander-in-chief duties, which we often associate as purely presidential, are in fact circumscribed by Congress's constitutional role. It's Congress that declares war, remember. It's Congress that raises the money to fund an army. In fact, it's Congress that confirms the creation of official positions in the military. So again, the president's military power is shared with Congress. And nowhere is it more true than with the chief executive's power. In this case, the Viking leaders had it all over the presidents. So nobody brooked any dissent when they were leading the Vikings. Not the case when you're a chief executive officer. Presidents may appoint people to the executive branch, but they can only do so with the consent of the Senate. The president may take care that the laws are faithfully executed, but it's Congress that's making those laws. It's Congress that's funding those laws, and it's Congress that is creating the organizations that implement those laws. So even the chief executive's power is shared. So, in the end, a literal reading of the Constitution suggests that the primary hat the president wears is really that of chief clerk. That is, by virtue of a reading of laws and constitutional powers, the Congress has as many powers as the president. The president is no more than a glorified errand boy. And so how does the president go about transforming this clerkship power into leadership power? How do you combine all these hats to be more than just a clerk? The key to becoming a leader under our Constitution is to utilize the opportunities provided by these hats, these functions, to bargain with other members of government. In short, the power of the presidency in a system of shared hats is really only the power to persuade. And persuasion is tantamount to bargaining. The essence of leadership is convincing others who share your hats that in order to carry out their functions, they need you to do your duty as president.